Hey YouTube, Kyle here, collecting America's pastime. Hope you guys are having a great Friday night. I've had a very busy week, both with the card shop last weekend and then that carried into this week with work. So started the new year, picked up some new responsibilities with my regular job, which was, excellent. Just getting settled in with that. And then the card shop, we have the Amish collection I'm still going through, and then we did pick up the tobacco and caramel card collection, which has been awesome. So, that's I had a blast over the weekend. It was just very busy. So, with that being said, we'll just get straight into some of the mail days I had this week. So, Matt, Straight Race Cards, he and I have been talking. He asked me if I wanted some Cleveland cards. I said sure. I am reciprocating and putting together a pretty large Rangers and 75 Tops goodie bag for him that I'm going to give to him at Independence, which will be fun. So the Cleveland cards he sent me, it was two blocks. Both were Cleveland. There was a Tyler Naquin Inside the Park home run card that I think it's from 2017, but the photos from 2016 when the Indians beat the Blue Jays.
One down in the ninth. Here's Jose Ramirez, 0 for 3. He'll bat left-handed. Osuna's not wasting any time. The pitch swung on, hit high and deep to right. Saunders, track, wall, leaps, and score! How about that? What more can Jose Ramirez do? We are tied at 2. A swing and a drive to deep right. Saunders at the wall. It hits off the top of the wall. Naquin's around second. He's on his way to third. He'll try to score. Here's the throw. Not in time. Usain Naquin flying around the bases on a drive off the top of the wall in right. It ricocheted back toward the infield, and Coach Mike Sarbaugh never slowed him down.
One of the greatest moments in Cleveland baseball history, at least recent history. So that was a lot of fun. There was a 2016 Rajai Davis card, which was sweet. Rajai Davis, I was really stoked when I saw it because I don't think I have a Rajai Davis card, at least from 2016. And for those of you who don't know, the 2016 World Series was obviously the Indians and the Cubs. Went 7 games. Rajai hit the game-tying home run off Aroldis Chapman in the 8th inning. Ultimately not the result we wanted, but that moment is one of my favorite moments in sports history. We used that as I used that, I should say, as the gender reveal for my son, which I'll play that clip here.
For the Cubs. Now the pitch. Swung on, line to deep left field. It is
a boy!
There's more to that gender reveal, but I'm not gonna show it. It's a bit more personal. My wife probably doesn't want to be on YouTube too much. I don't want her face on there, and I had my kids' faces, my daughter's faces on the some of the players that came out of the dugout to celebrate, and I don't want my kids on YouTube. So, but that should give you a taste of what it was. And it was a fun gender reveal. So anyways, I was stoked to see the Rajai Davis card, and then there was a random Jose Ramirez rookie card, just a base Tops one. And Matt didn't even realize it was in there. I don't know if he missed the shield on it or what, but I asked him if he wanted it back. He said no. So anyways, I appreciate the goodie bag, Matt. You are one of the most genuine people in the YouTube community, and in the hobby in general. Very, very, very kind and thoughtful in everything you do, and appreciate our friendship. It's been a blast getting to know you recently. So Yeah, and like I said, I will have a reciprocating gift for you in Independence. So, um, anyways, then I had some pickups. I had from eBay. I had 4 cards come in. 3 of them I won from the same seller. We were celebrating Christmas Sunday night. My whole family was sick over Christmas, so it got delayed. So we were celebrating Christmas Sunday night, and I got the notification that these cards were ending. And I was just sitting there kind of off to the side, and pulled up the eBay app, and I was like, let me just slap a bid on this, slap a bid on this, and slap a bid on this. Um, there's 2 T205s and 1 T207. The first T205 is a T205 Duffy. I can't count this towards my Hall of Fame project. Duffy's career ended in 1906, according to his Hall of Fame plaque. And the project I'm doing is strictly the years on the Hall of Fame plaque. So the T205 set was made in 1911, 5 years after Duffy's Hall of Fame years ended. So I am not counting this towards the project, but he was a manager at the time, and I do have manager cards of former Hall of Famers, or of Hall of Famers, like Tony Perez managed the Marlins in the early 2000s. So I am going to keep this for the Duffy entry once I do get a playing days Duffy, which I think the fan craze is going to be my best bet at that. So the second T205 was a Rube Marquard. This is again an earlier Marquard. So and obviously the condition on these are not great. But I paid not great condition price for them. I paid $30 a pop for each of these 3 cards, and I was ecstatic for that price. I mean, you get some pretty low grade Hall of Famers, and you'll struggle to find them under 50. And these are very rough, but I think 30 a piece was very fair. So, and then the other one was a T207 Rube Marquard. So 3 tobacco Hall of Famers for $90 is a really good deal in my opinion. The T207 being the best condition of them all, which is awesome. I don't have a T207 for the project yet. So, just a very cool little lot type win there, even though they were individual listings. The other one from eBay is a 1921 exhibits Grover Alexander, Grover Cleveland Alexander. This one, I had been going back and forth on what I wanted to do for Grover. I think it's the W515 that is the strip card where he has the red hair. I really want that card. I think it looks like Syndrome from The Incredibles, and I I just think it's really funny looking. So I want that card. I'm not a huge fan of the cartoon strip cards, but that one in particular I like. However, that card has kind of shot up in price, as most Grover Alexander stuff has. And I don't love it that much to pay, some of the prices it's going for. If I can find it for a really good deal, I will. But anyways, I kind of pivoted. This exhibit, I don't know how long this exhibit had been on eBay, but I shot the seller a message and asked him if he had any room on it. And we ended up working out a deal where I was pretty happy with this. With the price, I'm not going to find, too many real photo Alexanders for cheaper than this, if any, especially with presentable condition. This has the wrinkle crease at the bottom, and a few other very minor flaws, but otherwise it presents very well. And And I like exhibits. They fit in my binder. I have the 4 page or 4 card pages that fit the exhibit cards really well, and I'll show photos of that at some point down the road when I kind of go through some organization videos or something like that. But yeah, I'm really stoked to get this. Grover is one of those where his value is starting to get to where it probably should be for how good he was. Um, he's a funny one because he has a lot of cards in different sets, but he doesn't have a lot of cards in general. How do I say this? The quantity of or the scarcity he has within each set makes him a bit tougher to find. But he's in a lot of sets, so he's just an interesting case. And I'm glad to knock him off the project. I might buy more. Like I said, W515 is of interest. I like some of his other cards, but yeah. So, anyways, I did get a few cards from the card shop as well. So I like buying cards where I have a connection or a story behind, to them. And as I've mentioned before, we got that Amish collection in, and I've been the one that's comping that essentially and pricing it and all that stuff. And the 2 cards I wanted when I was going through it were the 1958 All-Star Frank Robinson. This is my earliest Frank Robinson by quite a bit. I think I only have manager cards of him, so this might be I might have one playing days card, maybe. But regardless, I know this is by far the earliest. So, and I love the All-Star cards. You get them, they're period correct playing days Hall of Famers that for whatever reason are just cheaper, and because they're not from the literal base set. So I don't know. I like them. I like the blue. I like the stars. So that one's cool. And then I also got the 1954 Larry Doby. This one, I think is such a great image. It has him on the steps of the dugout with Cleveland Municipal Stadium in the background. It's such a great card. Obviously, this one and the Frank Robinson are very well loved. Not the greatest condition, but that's okay. As you saw with the tobacco cards, I'm not real concerned with condition, as long as the price is right. So anyways, love those 2 cards. Thank you very much to the Amish gentleman for selling us that collection and giving me the opportunity to buy these 2 from the shop. And then I got 3 others. So from the tobacco and caramel collection, I picked up a T205 Bobby Wallace. Did not have a Bobby Wallace for the Hall of Fame project, so that one's cool. I got a T205 Miller Huggins. I do want a few other Huey Jennings and Miller Huggins are 2 manager Hall of Famers that I want a few more cards of theirs. They're in a lot of sets and they have some great images and some great cards. So I would like to have multiples of those. How I can how I can find them for good deals. So, and then the last one is probably my favorite. It's a T206 Addy Joss pitching. It is roached. I mean, a third of the card is missing. Although most of the actual image is still there, it's still a very rough condition. But what makes this one special, it is an EPDG back. And I love the scarce backs for T206s. I'm not a huge T206 fan in general. Not to say I don't like the set. It's so common from, I see them every day on Facebook and social media, Instagram, etc. You see them all the time, and I love scarcity. So anytime I can take a more common set and add a scarce component to it, whether it be, like I got that Morgan Bull Kelly postcard, very common postcard, and relatively common, but it has the add back, which is very rare. And so T206s, I like the scarcer backs. I think I showed a Willie Keeler in a previous video where it's the bat pose for Willie Keeler, and it's a sovereign back, which is a super rare back for that pose. So same with this Joss. EPDG back is kind of a couple tiers up on the scarcity for D206s. Love that for this copy, and it was a great value all the way around. So so those three came from the shop, and again, they were collections that I helped bring in, helped price, help comp, etc. And I will always have those backgrounds. And the tobacco caramel collection came from a guy in Tobacco Row who lives 15 minutes away from me, and he's a great person. So glad that we can get those into another fellow Tobacco Row collector's collection. So also from that collection, I have a friend, met him through the card shop. He's a regular customer, 24-year-old dude named Joey. Real cool guy. He and I talk all the time on Instagram. His knowledge of history and the game are second to none. His dad comes in the shop with him all the time, and his dad was a former history teacher. So the history part, not shocking. His dad's a walking encyclopedia. His family in general is just super nice. His mom, his aunt, and his dad often go to the shop with him, and he's a blast to talk to. And anyways, when we got the collection in, he collects T206 Cleveland players, and we had a nice eye appeal Joss portrait that had to go to his collection. We had a Bill Bradley from that, and a T205 Neil Ball, and all three of them had his name on it. So I texted him and gave him the price, and he was stoked. Shop made some money, and everyone wins. So it was I love that aspect of working at the card shop. So anyways, last one from the mail days this week. This one is from Stan. Many of you know Stan as one of the best dealers in the hobby. Stan's Vintage Sports Cards. He lives 20-ish minutes away from me. He's actually not too far from Independence. I think he lives pretty much in Independence, and just a little suburb. So he'll be at the Independence show, and this one I found on eBay at his store. Shot him a message to see what his off eBay price would be, and we agreed on it. It's a 1910 E96 Home Run Baker. Home Run Baker, similar to Grover Cleveland Alexander, is one where his cards are kind of up there in price. You're not going to find them really sub $100, or even sub $150 very often. A lot of them float around 200 plus. So he's an interesting subject. He was known as the home run king for hitting like 10 home runs or whatever prior to Babe Ruth coming along. So his cards carry, a certain base value. And again, I like scarcity. The E96 has 41 graded copies by PSA. If you compare that to how many copies he has graded by PSA for his T205s and T206s, he has 316 T205s graded by PSA and around 300 or so T206s. So 41 is quite scarce compared to those numbers. I think there's 60 some E96s graded, or E96 Bakers graded by SGC, but I'm just going to compare the PSA numbers. So really, really scarce in comparison. Example, love the eye appeal of this. Yes, it has the flaws in the bottom right corner, but otherwise it is a beautiful card. It has a purplish background. The printing, the lithograph printing from back then changes the colors sometimes. and it's meant to have a pure red background, which you'll find on a lot of copies, and that's beautiful. This one being a bit more purple is really cool and really pops. So yeah, thank you very much, Stan, for working with me on this card, and looking forward to seeing you at Independence. So anyways, let's see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additions to the Cooperstown project, which brings me up to 213 out of 352. It is next week that we find out, who the new additions to Cooperstown will be. But currently I'm at 60.51%. And we will see if Delgado or, Beltran and Andrew Jones get in, and if anybody else gets in with a late push. So looking forward to that. But thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and live free, dream big.